The galactic arena was a place of legends. Every year, the galaxy's greatest fighters came here to show off their power. Huge battleships, fast fighter jets, and weapons that could level entire planets all on display for the watching worlds. Alien commanders stood proudly, their many eyes fixed on the training field below. Machines glided, lasers fired, explosions lit the sky. Each race had its own style, sleek and deadly, fast and silent, or heavy and unstoppable. Among them, the humans had brought something different, something simple. It was a machine that looked old-fashioned, almost clumsy. It was bulky, with thick metal plates and rounded edges. It didn't shine or glow like the others. It looked like a toy from an ancient Earth museum. The aliens whispered and laughed. Commander Vark of the Zelter Empire shook his head. Is this some kind of joke? They send us this thing. It's his second in command. A tall, slender being with 3 arms sneered. They must be desperate. No real fighter would trust such a useless machine. In the human camp, the small pilot named Eli prepared quietly. He wore a worn leather jacket and a calm smile. No fancy armor, no high-tech gadgets, just steady hands and sharp eyes. The announcer's voice echoed through the arena. Today's test, the ridiculous weapon. Let's see if humanity's creation can survive the death zone. The death zone was a harsh test area. It was filled with rough terrain, dangerous traps, and simulated enemy fire. Most weapons failed here, broken by the challenge. Eli climbed into the cockpit of the strange machine. The crowd of aliens watched, expecting a quick failure. "Ready?" Eli said simply. The gate opened and the weapon rolled out. Its movements were slow, almost awkward. The aliens chuckled softly. First test began. Automated turrets fired lasers aimed to destroy the machine. Other weapons fired missiles and plasma bolts. Eli guided the machine carefully. It ducked behind rocks and raised a shield. The aliens watched, confused. This old-fashioned machine was still moving slow but steady. Suddenly, Eli pressed a button. The weapon fired, but it wasn't a normal blast. Instead of a straight laser or missile, a strange wave spread out. It was like a ripple in space, whisking the air, making the light shimmer. The automated turrets stopped firing. Their sensors went wild. Missiles lost their targets and exploded far away. The enemy drones crashed into each other. The aliens gasped. What was this strange effect? Commander Vark's eyes narrowed. What trickery is this? Eli smiled. The weapon's simple design hid a secret. It used unpredictable waves to confuse and disable enemy systems. It wasn't about power or speed, it was about control. The machine moved forward, firing another wave. Robots stumbled and fell. Electronic shields flickered and failed. The death zone was supposed to be impossible. But the ridiculous weapon was making it look easy. The alien crowd grew silent. Some whispered nervously. Others frowned in disbelief. Eli's voice came over the comms, calm and confident. This is just the beginning. As the weapon advanced, the arena lights flickered strangely. The air seemed to buzz. Then, without warning, a burst of strange energy shot out. It wasn't just confusing machines anymore. The wave bent reality, itself making shadows move. Colors twist and sounds echo oddly. Aliens in the stands clutched their heads. Machines stuttered and shut down. Commander Vark slammed his fist on the console. Stop it. This isn't normal. But Eli kept going. The machine moved like a nightmare from a story, the silly old machine becoming the deadliest force in the arena. The crowd watched, frozen. Between fear and awe, the gate to the next zone opened, inviting Eli to continue. The weapon rolled forward, ready for whatever challenge came next. The last thing the crowd heard was Eli's quiet words. Try to keep up. The crowd in the galactic arena was still stunned. They had never seen anything like the ridiculous weapon in action. What looked like a slow, clumsy machine had just caused chaos across the death zone. Yet no one understood exactly how. It worked. Alien commanders whispered urgently among themselves. The Zelter Empire's leader, Commander Vark, was furious. That machine. It should have been easy to destroy, he said. How did it cause all this confusion? In the human camp, Eli sat calmly in his cockpit. His fingers danced across the controls with ease. The weapon's strange energy waves weren't just chance. They were carefully designed to disrupt and confuse. The next test began. This time, enemy ships fired advanced missiles and deployed electronic jammers to block the weapon signals. But the weapon didn't rely on traditional power. It sent out a wave that twisted enemy sensors, making their missiles lose track. The jammers started interfering with each other. Enemy ships collided and spun out of control. Alien scientists scrambled to understand. It's like the weapon is playing with their technology, one said. It's not just attacking, it's breaking their minds. Eli smiled as he pushed the machine forward. This was human creativity at work, unpredictable, chaotic, and impossible to fully control by others. Alien pilots grew nervous. They began to avoid direct attacks, fearing the strange waves. Commander Vark barked orders. Find a way to shut it down. This weapon is a threat to everything. But no one had an answer. Meanwhile, the weapon moved steadily through the field. It was slow, but every step was measured, every wave precise. At one point, a massive enemy robot tried to attack. It fired a powerful beam that should have destroyed the weapon instantly. But the weapon sent out a ripple of energy that caused the beam to bend away, hitting the robot itself. The robot stumbled and crashed. The arena shook with the impact, and a cheer rose from the human camp. The aliens were silent, their faces tight with anger and fear. This weapon, which had seemed weak and silly, was proving to be deadly in a way no one had expected. Eli's voice came through the comm system. You underestimate us because you don't understand us. This weapon is more than metal, it's human will, human mind. The alien crowd watched as the weapon passed the final test zone. Machines broke down, robots failed, and enemy sensors scrambled. The commanders knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had found a new way to fight, one no one could predict or stop easily. As the weapon rolled forward, Eli whispered to himself, "Let's see how they handle the nightmare." After the weapon's surprising success in the galactic arena, whispers spread through the alien empires. They could not believe that such a simple machine was causing so much trouble. But more troubling was the secret they still did not understand. Why did the weapon work only with humans? Commander Vark sent spies to infiltrate the human camp. Their mission was clear: steal the weapon, learn its secrets, and turn it against the humans. The spies arrived disguised as traders, moving quietly among the humans. They found the weapons hangar large and unguarded. But when one of the spies tried to operate the machine, it didn't respond. The controls were confusing and the strange energy waves refused to activate. Back in the pilot's cockpit, Eli smiled as he watched the footage. The weapon was linked to human brain signals. It needed a pilot's unpredictable mind, creativity, intuition, and quick thinking. Aliens lacked this natural chaos, and without it, the machine was just a heavy piece of metal. The spies tried again, pressing buttons and flipping switches, but the weapon remained silent. Suddenly, one spy triggered a malfunction. Alarms blared and sparks flew. They barely escaped before the weapon shut down completely. Meanwhile, human pilots trained hard. They learned to use the weapon's strange effects to confuse enemies, to create traps, and to change battlefields with unpredictable waves. Commander Vark was furious. You cannot fight an enemy who wins by thinking differently. Like the aliens. Old tactics failed. Their precise plans crumbled against human creativity and the weapon's chaos. As the aliens prepared a massive attack, Eli and his team stood ready. They knew this was just the beginning of a war where strength wasn't enough. Only the unpredictable would survive. Eli's last words before the battle. Let's show them why humans are the nightmare they never saw coming. The vast battlefield stretched across the shattered moons of Cathar. Alien fleets moved with precision, their weapons ready to crush humanity's forces once and for all. Commander Vark stood at the command center, confident his superior technology would end this war quickly. But he hadn't counted on Eli and his strange, ridiculous weapon. As the battle began, human pilots moved cautiously, the clunky. Machines rolled forward, their movements slow but deliberate. Alien ships fired deadly lasers and missiles, expecting easy kills. Instead, the weapons faltered. Missiles lost their targets mid-flight. Sensors blinked and failed. Enemy ships collided with one another in chaos. The battlefield descended into confusion. Eli's weapons sent out waves of unpredictable energy that twisted reality for their foes. Ships appeared where they weren't. Sounds echoed from different directions. Alien pilots found themselves lost in a nightmare of false signals and phantom enemies. Human commanders smiled as their forces seized the advantage. "Weapon is more than we dreamed," one officer said. "It turns our weakness, slowness, into strength." The alien fleet struggled to regroup, but the confusion was too deep. Their precise attacks dissolved into disorder. Commander Vark's face darkened with anger and fear. "Stop those machines. Find a way to shut down their power." But every attempt failed. The weapon's strange waves spread through the enemy systems like wildfire, making their best ships useless. In the center of the chaos, Eli pushed his machine forward, calm and focused. Every blast sent enemies into disarray. Every move was a new surprise. The battle's tide had turned. As the dust settled, the aliens had lost control and humanity had taken the lead. The ridiculous weapon had become a nightmare no one could ignore. Eli whispered, "This is just the beginning. They thought we were weak. They were wrong. The victory on Cathar was just the start." Eli and his team quickly realized that the weapon's strange power was changing, growing beyond anything they expected. It wasn't only breaking machines anymore. Now it affected living minds. Alien pilots reported terrifying hallucinations. They saw shadows where there were none, heard voices whispering doubts and fears. Some refused to enter the battlefield again. The weapon's waves twisted reality, invading thoughts and emotions. It made enemies question their own senses. Confusion turned into panic. Panic turned into chaos. Commander Vark's elite soldiers, once calm and precise, began to break apart. Some fled in terror. Others turned against their comrades. The once perfect alien fleets became a shattered mess. But the weapon was dangerous even for humans. Eli warned his team, "Stay focused. The weapon can turn on us if we lose control." Training grew harder. Pilots had to learn not only to fight enemies, but to control their own minds against the weapon's strange effects. As the aliens prepared a secret plan to counter the weapon's power, Eli's team knew they had to push forward or risk losing everything. The nightmare was no longer just a weapon. It was a new way of war. Eli looked at the stars, thinking they thought it was just a stupid machine. They were wrong. This weapon is humanity's mind, wild, creative, and unstoppable. The battlefield was silent. Every alien fleet, every warlord, every curious onlooker from across the galaxy watched the live feed. The human weapon floated in the middle of the wreckage, its metal panels scorched, its core glowing faintly. Pilot Juno sat inside, breathing hard. Her hands trembled, not from fear, but from the sheer weight of what she was about to do. This was no test, no demonstration. This was survival. Across the field, the Zorith flagship loomed like a floating city of death. Dozens of energy cannons pointed toward the human's final position. The alien commander's voice boomed across the comms. "Surrender the device, human. We will grant you mercy." Juno didn't answer. She simply tightened her grip on the controls. Behind her, the human fleet was crippled ships in pieces, crews evacuating in escape pods. This was all that stood between Earth and annihilation. The weapon's core hummed louder. Sparks crawled along its surface like living lightning. The energy was unstable, now too unstable. "Command," Juno said quietly, "if I fired this, I can't guarantee where it stops." The human commander's voice came back, steady but grim. "Understood, pilot? Do it." Juno closed her eyes for half a second. In that brief moment, memories flash, turfs, oceans, its cities, its laughter, the sound of rain. All of it could vanish if she failed. She pressed the trigger. A pulse erupted, pure, shimmering energy that expanded in a perfect sphere. At first it moved slow, then faster, then impossibly fast. It didn't just hit ships. It tore them apart on a molecular level. Alien weapons shattered before they could even fire. Shields dissolved like smoke. The Zorith flagship unleashed every cannon at once. The blasts reached the sphere and vanished, as if they'd been swallowed by a black hole. Then the sphere reached the flagship. The alien commander's image flickered for a moment, shock, then fury before his ship imploded silently. The wave kept going. It didn't stop at the battlefield. It tore through asteroid belts, erased enemy bases hidden in deep space, and left nothing but a ghostly trail of light. Juno's systems screamed warnings: overload, critical heat, reactor collapse. But she didn't stop. The weapon had locked onto every hostile vessel in the system and erased them. When the light finally faded, the battlefield was empty. No enemy ships, no threat, only the broken remains of human vessels. And the quiet hum of a dying weapon. "Juno." The commander's voice cracked through static. She smiled faintly. "Still here?" The galaxy would talk about this day for centuries. The ridiculous human weapon, the one every alien had, Mokte had become the most feared device in the stars, and the humans, the weak species everyone laughed at, had just rewritten galactic power forever. Far away, in the shadows of a distant planet, alien leaders watched the recording. None of them laughed now, because if this was what humans could build when desperate, what would they build next?